tablet of destiny to his chest she has attached, his own circuit to acquire, to battle against the gods her offspring Kingu she instructed. Who shall stand up to Tiamat? The gods asked each other. None in their circuits stepped forward, none a weapon for battle would bear. At that time, in the heart of the deep a god was engendered. In a chamber of fates, a place of destinies, was he born. By an artful creator was he fashioned, the son of his own son he was. From the deep where he was engendered, the god from his family in a rushing departed. A gift of his creator, the seed of life, with him away he carried. To the void he set his course, a new destiny he was seeking. The first to glimpse the wandering celestial was the ever-watchful unto. Alluring was his figure, a radiance he was beaming. Lordly was his gait, exceedingly great was his course. Of all the gods he was the loftiest, surpassing theirs his circuit was. The first to glimpse him was unto, her breast by child never sucked. Come, be my son. She called to him. Let me your mother become. She cast her net and made him welcome, made his course for the purpose suited. Her words filled the newcomer's heart with pride, the one who would nurse him made him haughty. His head to doubled size grew larger, for members at his sides he sprouted. He moved his lips in acceptance, a godly fire from them blazed forth. Toward unto his course he turned, his face to and soon to show. When and saw him, my son. My son. With exultation he shouted. To leadership you shall be consigned, a host by your side will be your servants. Let Nibiru be your name, as crossing forever known. He bowed to Nibiru, turning his face at Nibiru's passage. He spread his net, for Nibiru 4 servants he brought forth. His host by his side to be, the south wind, the north wind, the fast wind, the west wind. With joyful heart unto Anshar his forebear the arrival of Nibiru announced. Anshar upon this hearing, Gaga, who was by his side, as an emissary sent forth words of wisdom to and deliver, a task to Nibiru to assign. He charged Gaga to give voice to what was in his heart, to and thus say. Tiamat, she who bore us, now detests us. She has set up a warring host, she is furious with rage. Against the gods, her children, 11 warriors march by her side. Kingu among them she elevated, a destiny to his chest she attached without right. No god among us against her venom can stand up, her host in us all has fear established. Let Nibiru become our avenger. Let him vanquish Tiamat, let him save our lives. For him decree a fate, let him go forth and face our mighty foe. To and Gaga departed, he bowed before him, the words of Anshar he repeated. Unto Nibiru his forebears words repeated, Gaga's message to him he revealed. To the words Nibiru with wonder listened, of the mother who would her children devour with fascination he heard. His heart, without saying, to set out against Tiamat him already prompted. He opened his mouth, to An and Gaga he thus said. If indeed I am to vanquish Tiamat your lives to save. Convene the gods to assembly, my destiny proclaim supreme. Let all the gods agree in council to make me the leader, bow to my command. When Lamu and Lahamu heard this, they cried out with anguish. Strange was the demand, its meaning cannot be fathomed. Thus they said. The gods who decree the fates with each other consulted. To make Nibiru their avenger they all agreed, to him an exalted fate decreed. From this day on, unchallengeable shall be your commandments. To him they said. No one among us gods shall transgress your bounds. Go, Nibiru, be our avenger. They fashioned for him a princely circuit toward Tiamat to proceed. They gave Nibiru blessings, they gave Nibiru awesome weapons. Anshar 3 more winds of Nibiru brought forth, the evil wind, the whirlwind, the matchless wind. Kishar with a blazing flame filled his body, a net to enfold Tiamat therewith. Thus ready for battle, Nibiru toward Tiamat directly set his course. Now this is the account of the celestial battle. and how the earth lead come to be, and of Nibiru's destiny. The Lord went forth, his fated course he followed. Toward the raging Tiamat he set his face, a spell with his lips he uttered. As a cloak for protection he the pulsar and the emitter put on. With a fearsome radiance his head was crowned. On his right he posted the smiter, on his left the repeller he placed. The seven winds, his host of helpers, like a storm he sent forth. Toward the raging Tiamat he was rushing, clamoring for battle. The gods thronged about him, then from his path they departed. To scan Tiamat and her helpers alone he was advancing. The scheme of Kingu, her host's commander, to conceive. When he saw valiant Kingu, blurred became his vision. As he gazed upon the monsters his direction was distracted. His course became upset, his doings were confused. Tiamat's band tightly her encircled, with terror they trembled. Tiamat to her roots gave a shudder, a mighty roar she emitted. On Nibiru she cast a spell, engulfed him with her charms. The issue between them was joined, the battle was unavoided. Face to face they came, Tiamat and Nibiru, against each other they were advancing. They for battle approached, they pressed on for single combat. The Lord spread his net, to encompass her he cast it. With fury Tiamat cried out, like one possessed she lost her senses. The evil wind, which had been behind him, Nibiru drove forward, in her face he let it loose. She opened her mouth the evil wind to swallow, but could not close her lips. The evil wind charged her belly, into her innards it made its way. Her innards were howling, her body was distended, her mouth was open wide. Through the opening Nibiru shot a brilliant arrow, a lightning most divine. It pierced her innards, her belly it tore apart. It tore into her womb, it split apart her heart. Having thus subdued her, her life breath he extinguished. The lifeless body Nibiru surveyed, like a slaughtered carcass Tiamat now was. Beside their lifeless mistress, her 11 helpers trembled with terror. In Nibiru's net they were captured, unable they were to flee. Kingu, who by Tiamat was made the host's chief, was among them. The Lord put him in fetters, to his lifeless mistress he bound him. He wrested from Kingu the tablets of destinies, unrightly to him given. Stamped it with his own seal, fastened the destined to his own chest. The others of Tiamat's band as captives he bound, in his circuit he them ensnared. He trampled them underfoot, cut them up to pieces. He bound them all to his circuit, to turn around he made them, backward to course. From the place of the battle Nibiru then departed. To the gods who had him appointed the victory to announce. He made a circuit about Absu, to Kishar and Anshar lie journeyed. Gaga came out to greet him, as a herald to the others he then journeyed. Beyondan and unto Nibiru to the abode in the deep proceeded. The fate of lifeless Tiamat and of Kingu he then considered. To Tiamat, whom he had subdued, the Lord Nibiru then returned. He made his way to her, paused to view her lifeless body. To artfully divide the monster in his heart he was planning. Then, as a muscle, into two parts he split her, her chest from her lower parts he separated. Her inner channels he cut apart, her golden veins he beheld with wonder. Trotting upon her hinder part, the Lord her upper part completely severed. The north wind, his helper, from his side he summoned. To thrust away the severed head the wind he commanded, in the void to place it. Nibiru wind upon Tiamat then hovered, sweeping upon her gushing waters. Nibiru shot a lightning, to north wind he gave a signal. In a brilliance was Tiamat's upper part to a region own carried. With her the bound Kingu was also exiled, of the severed part a companion to be. The hinder part's fate Nibiru then considered. As an everlasting trophy of the battle he wished it to be. A constant reminder in the heavens, the place of the battle to enshrine. With his mace the hinder part he smashed to bits and pieces. Then strung them together as a band to form a hammered bracelet. Locking them together, as watchmen he stationed them. A firmament to divide the waters from the waters. The upper waters above the firmament from the waters below it he separated. Artful works Nibiru thus fashioned. The Lord then crossed the heavens to survey the regions. From Apsu's quarter to the abode of Gaga he measured the dimensions. The edge of the deep Nibiru then examined, toward his birthplace he cast his gaze. He paused and hesitated, then to the firmament, the place of the battle, slowly he returned. Passing again in Apsu's region, of the sun's missing spouse he thought with remorse. He gazed upon Tiamat's wounded half, to her upper part he gave attention. The waters of life, her bounty, from the wounds were still pouring. Her golden veins Apsu's rays were reflecting. The seed of life, his creator's legacy, Nibiru then remembered. When he trod on Tiamat, when he split her asunder, to her the seed he surely imparted. He addressed words to Apsu, to him thus saying, with your waning rays, to the wounds give healing. Let the broken part new life be given, in your family as a daughter to be. Let the waters to one place be gathered, let firm land appear. By Fin land let her be called, Ki henceforth her name to be. Apsu to the words of Nibiru gave heed, let the earth join my family. Ki, Fin land of the below, let earth her name henceforth be. By her turning let their day and night be, in the days my healing rays to her I shall provide. Let Kingu be a creature of the night, to shine at night one shall appoint him earth's companion, the moon forever to be. Nibiru the words of Apsu with satisfaction heard. He crossed the heavens and surveyed the regions. To the gods who had him elevated he granted penitent stations. Their circuits he destined that none shall transgress nor fall short of each other. He strengthened the heavenly locks, gates on both sides he established. An outermost abode he chose for himself, beyond Gaga were its dimensions. The great circuit to be his destiny he beseeched Apsu for him to decree. All the gods spoke up from their stations, let Nibiru's sovereignty be surpassing. Most radiant of the gods he is, let him Trali the son of the sun be. From his quarter Apsu gave his blessing. Nibi shall hold the crossing of heaven and earth, crossing shall be his name. The gods shall cross over neither above nor below. He shall hold the central position, the shepherd of the gods he shall be. Ashar shall be his circuit, that his destiny will forever be. Now this is the account of how the olden times began. And of the era that in the annals the golden era by name was known. And how from Nibiru to earth the missions went the gold to obtain. The escape of Alalu from Nibiru was its beginning. With great understanding was Alalu endowed, much knowledge he by learning acquired. By his forefather and Shargul of the heavens and the circuits much knowledge was amassed. By Inshar was knowledge greatly augmented. Of that Alalu made much learning, with the sages he discoursed, savants and commanders he consulted. Thus was knowledge of the beginning ascertained, thus did Alalu this knowledge possess. The gold and the hammered bracelet was the confirmation. The gold and the hammered bracelet of gold in Tiamat's upper half was the indication. At the planet of gold Alalu victoriously arrived, high, chariot with a thunder crashing. With a beam he scanned the place, his whereabouts to discover. High, chariot on dry land descended, at the edge of extended marshes. It landed. He put on an eagle's helmet, he put on a fish's suit. The chariot's hatch he opened, at the open hatch he stopped to wonder. Dark-hued was the ground, blue-white were the skies. No sound their tease, there was no one to bid him welcome. Alone on an alien planet he stood, perchance from Nibiru forever exiled. To the ground himself he lowered, on the dark-hued soil he stepped. There were hills in the distance, nearby much vegetation there was. Ahead of him there were marshes, into the marsh he stepped, by the water's coolness he shuddered. Back to the dry ground he stepped, alone on an alien planet he stood. With thoughts he was possessed, of spouse and offspring with longing he remembered. Was he forever from Nibiru exiled? Of that again and again he wondered. To the chariot he soon returned, with food and drink to be sustained. Then deep sleep him overcame, a powerful slumber. How long he slept he could not remember, what awakened him he could not tell. A brightness there was outside, a brilliance on Nibiru unseen. A pole from the chariot he extended, with a tester it was equipped. It breathed the planet's air, compatibility it indicated. The chariot's hatch he opened, at the open hatch he took a breath. Another breath he took, then another and another, the air of Ki indeed compatible was. Alalu clapped his hands, a song of joy he was singing. Without an eagle's helmet, without a fish's suit, to the ground himself he lowered. The brightness outside was blinding, the rays of the sun were overpowering. Into the chariot he returned, a mask for the eyes he donned. He picked up the carried weapon, he picked up the handy sampler. To the ground himself he lowered, on the dark-hued soil he stepped. He made his way toward the marshes, dark greenish were the waters. By the marsh's edge there were pebbles, Alalu picked a pebble, into the marsh he thrust it. In the marsh a moving his eyes glimpsed, the waters with fishes were filled. Into the marsh the sampler he lowered, the murky waters to consider. For drinking the water was not fit, Alalu greatly disappointing. He turned away from the marshes, in the direction of the hills he want. He made his way through vegetation, bushes to trees gave way. The place was like an orchard, the trees with fruits were laden. By their sweet smell enticed, Alalu picked a fruit, in his mouth he put it. Sweet was the smell, sweeter the taste was. Alalu greatly it delighted. Away, from the sun's rays Alalu was walking, toward the hills he set his direction. Among the trees a wetness under his feet he sensed, a sign of close-by waters. In the direction of the wetness he set his course. In the midst of the forest there was a pond, a pool of silent waters. Into the pond the sampler he lowered, for drinking the water was good. Alalu laughed, an unstopping laughter seized him. The air was good, the water for drinking was fit, there was fruit, there were fishes. With eagerness Alalu bent down, together his hands he cupped, water to his mouth he brought. A coolness did the water have, a taste from Nibiru's water different. Once more he drank, then with fright he asunder jumped. A hissing sound he could hear, a slithering body by the poolside was moving. His carried weapon he seized, a blast of its ray toward the hissing he directed. The moving stopped, the hissing was ended. To examine the danger Alalu stepped forward. The slithered body lay still, dead was the creature, a sight most strange. Like a rope its long body was, without hands or feet was the body. Fierce eyes were in its small head, out of its mouth a long tongue was sticking. A sight on Nibiru never beheld it was, a creature of another world. Was it the orchard's guardian? Alalu by himself pondered. Was it the water's master? Himself he asked. In his carried flask he some water collected, with alertness to the chariot he made his way. The sweet fruits he also picked, to the chariot he set his course. The brightness of the sun's rays was greatly diminished, darkness it was as the chariot he reached. The shortness of the day Alalu pondered, its shortness him amazed. From the direction of the marshes a cool lightness on the horizon was rising. A white-hued ball in the heavens was quickly rising. Kingu, the earth's companion, he now beheld. What in the accounts of the beginning, his eyes the truth could now see. The planets and their circuits, the hammered bracelet. Ki the earth, Kingu its moon, all created were, all by names were called. In his heart Alalu knew one more truth a beholding needed. The gold, the means of salvation, to be found was needed. If truth be in the beginning tales, if by the waters the golden veins of Tiamat were washed. In the waters of Ki, its cut off half, gold must be found. With hands unsteady Alalu the tester from the chariot's pole dismantled. With trembling hands the fish's suit he donned, the fast-arriving daylight eagerly awaiting. At daybreak the chariot he exited, to the marshes he quickly stepped. Into deeper waters he waded, the tester into the waters he inserted. Its illuminated face he eagerly watched, in his chest his heart was pounding. The water's contents was the tester indicating, by symbols and numbers its findings disclosing. Then Alalu's heartbeat stopped. There is gold in the waters, the tester was telling. Unsteady on his legs Alalu stepped forward, deeper into the marshes he made his way. Again he the tester into the waters inserted, again the tester gold announced. A cry of triumph, from Alalu's throat emanated, Nibiru's fate in his hands now was. Back to the chariot he made his way, the fish's suit off he took, the commander's seat he occupied. The tablets of destinies that knows all circuits he enlivened, to Nibiru's circuit to find the direction. The speaker of words he stirred up, toward Nibiru the words to carry. Then to Nibiru words he uttered, thus he was saying. The words of the great Alalu to Anu on Nibiru are directed. On another world I am, the gold of salvation I have found. The fate of Nibiru is in my hands, to my conditions you must give heed. Synopsis of the third tablet. Alalu beams the news to Nibiru, reclaims the kingship. Anu, astounded, puts the issue before the royal council. Enlil, Anu's foremost son, suggests on-site verification. Enki, Anu's firstborn and a son-in-law of Alalu, is chosen instead. Enki ingeniously equips the celestial boat for the journey. The spaceship, piloted by Anzu, carries 50 heroes overcoming perils. The Nibiruans thrill by Earth's sight guided by Alalu. They splash down and wade ashore. Eridu, home away from home, is established in 7 days. Extraction of gold from the waters begins through the quantity is minuscule. Nibiru demands delivery. Abgal, a pilot, chooses Alalu's spaceship for the trip. Forbidden nuclear weapons are discovered in the spaceship. Enki and Abgal remove the weapons of terror and hide them. The fate of Nibiru is in my hands, to my conditions you must give heed. End of the part 5. See you next part.